Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Donna. And for those of you not new, thank you so much for coming back and supporting my channel. I appreciate all of you so very much for being here today. Today I am doing a makeup of 2019 that I still want. So a little bit of FOMO going on. I have a little bit of FOMO. 2019 was a big year for makeup, right? There was so much going on in the beauty industry for 2019 and so many releases that came out, and went through a lot of like my personal like anti-hauls or will I bias or makeup mayhem is what I call them on my channel, which I don't do very many of them. I think going into 2020 I'm going to do more just to like really calibrate myself against those items that I really do want. I came up with a list of some items that I really still want that came out in 2019, and maybe you guys can help me. Maybe you guys can help me overcome this FOMO that I have for these items and whether I actually need them in my collection or not, because I know in the back of my head I have this beauty budget that I'm really looking at. With that being said, we have a lot of 2019 makeup that I still want, and I need your help talking me out of it or telling me what is most important on this list to really dive into. So with that being said, let's get started. So the first thing I have FOMO about is the Juvias Place foundation and concealer. I love Juvias Place as a brand. I think that they put out some great stuff. I love their eyeshadow. I have like a lot of their eyeshadow in my collection. I have a ton of palettes, but I really want to try their foundation and concealer. So some things that are holding me back are I have been told that the foundation is super full coverage, and I am just not a full coverage girl. And some other things that are holding me back are there are so many damn shades. And purchasing it online, I can't figure out which shade I want. So, I mean, I guess if that's the problem that I have, then that's the problem that I have, and I just need to get over it and get shade matched at work, right? But the other thing that stops me is the fact that I've heard that it's super full coverage. So, what do you guys think about the Juvias Place foundation and concealer? Let me know down in the comments section. I would be interested to hear your stories about it. If you've tried it, if you have, do you like it? Do you love it? Is it super full coverage? Is it... So I really like the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie foundation. That's also boasted as a full coverage foundation, but it doesn't feel full coverage. So does Juvia's Place foundation, is it full coverage enough that it feels full coverage, or is it full coverage without that feel? Because I don't mind a foundation that is full coverage that doesn't feel full coverage. The next one is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. I can't remember if that came out in 2019 or not, but it is a product that I heard a lot about last year that I really want to try. So what stops me is that it's Charlotte Tilbury. I mean, let's be honest, it's super expensive stuff, right? When I'm used to spending, say, I don't know, 30 bucks tops on a foundation, that foundation, let me look it up. Okay, so it says, flawless is a feeling. Discover the secret to a flawless, poreless looking, confident complexion. Charlotte's groundbreaking Airbrush Flawless Foundation is where makeup magic meets skincare science. A stay all day, weightless, full coverage formula with a natural matte finish available in 44 flawlessly matched shades, from Magic Replexium to visibly reducing the appearance of wrinkles by up to 22% over 8 weeks, to Moss Cell Tech #1 that boosts hydration levels by 216% in just 1 hour, with a little asterisk. This is a hybrid magic skincare foundation for every occasion, tested on 30 men and women. Those are the reasons why I want to try it. The reasons why I don't want to try it is, okay, so let's talk about the fact that it's full coverage again, but I think it might be full coverage without feeling full coverage, but it's also 46 bucks. Sorry, 44 bucks. When you're used to picking up a foundation for like 30 bucks or 36 bucks, I think is the most I've spent on a foundation, $44 is a lot. With that being said, the draw to it is that I have never, ever been a powder person, and a lot of the reasons why are because I feel like powder makes me look like I'm 90. However, I took a stab in the dark about a year ago and purchased this, which is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Skin Perfecting Micro Powder, and I love this stuff. You guys, it'll be in my project pan, but this is why, because I'm doing a rolling project pan, and this one will be easy for me to get through in like maybe a month. It's almost gone. Almost entirely gone. I love this powder. If it wasn't so expensive, I'd probably repurchase it. But being on the budget that I'm going to be in, it's a third of what my budget is. It's $46, I believe. 44, 46, somewhere in there as well. But this is the reason why I want to try that foundation, is because I hate powders, but love this Charlotte Tilbury powder. And I think I would probably love this foundation. Please let me know if you've tried any of these products down in the comments section. I would love to know what your thoughts are on it. So the next one, also a foundation, is the ABH Luminous Foundation. I have heard wonderful things about this foundation. I've heard that it's very skin-like. I have heard that it's super luminous without being like dewy to the extent that you look greasy. I have some, pretty dry-ish skin, but since I've been starting to take care of my skin better, it's a little more combo, so I do get a little oily in the T area. Not oily to the extent that I look like a grease slick, but oily to the extent that you can tell that my makeup starts to wear away, especially in that area. There are so many different shades and undertones to it. I think that, well, I'm not going to count them all, but there is a lot of them. It is a foundation that is supposedly easy to blend. It's supposed to help you blur because it's luminous. It's supposed to be luminizing. It's medium coverage, so not super full coverage. What draws me are those things, and the fact that it's, a more high-end foundation. It does cost $38. That is a downfall for me. I don't want to spend that much on a foundation if I don't have to. It says it gives complexion a fresh, radiant, second skin feeling, and I'm down for that. I'm in for it. So what do you guys know about that foundation? I don't know why I had so many foundations pop up on my list of 2019 products that I still want this year. I don't know, maybe this was the year for foundations for me. When I did my makeup inventory, I actually have 15 foundations in my collection. That kind of surprised me because foundation isn't one of those things that I really see myself like getting excited about. Like, I'm not a foundation tester. I'm not a foundation like lover. That's not what I get excited about. Some people do. I just don't. But this list had several foundations on it, and I was actually kind of surprised. So the next product on here is an eyeshadow palette, and it is the Persona Identity 2 eyeshadow palette. And the reason why I feel so excited about this is because it's regular tones of a colorful eyeshadow palette is how I see it. It's a little more muted, a little more grungy tone to a colorful eyeshadow palette, in addition to the fact that Kelly Gooch talks about this eyeshadow palette like it is the next best thing to butter on toast. So I really, really want to try it. It is a brand that recently has come to Ulta in our Sparked section, and I would love to try it. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it. So what stops me from trying it is it's a brand that I don't know. I haven't seen it in any of our stores, in any of my stores, if I'm being honest. And it is $42 for 12 shades. And I think that's what's, I know that that's what stops me. Like, I'm not opposed to spending $42 on 12 shades. I spend $42 on, say, 14 shades when I buy, like, ABH products. $45 now because they raised the price of their palettes. But $42 for a palette from a brand that I'm unsure about. This is the same problem that I fall into when it comes to indie brands. I have all these I have some on here, actually, all these indie makeup things that I want to try, but I have a hard time doing so because I can't actually physically touch and feel and look at the product. So that's a problem for me. The next one I have is the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm Palette. I think this is just, honestly, because I canceled my BoxyCharm and then the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder palette showed up, or Celestial Thunder, right? Showed up in a BoxyCharm. And that, like, I feel like from the minute I canceled BoxyCharm, they started putting good shit into the palettes, and it pisses me off. It makes me mad because for the last year that I was with BoxyCharm, like, I was a diehard BoxyCharm fan, and then the last year I was with BoxyCharm, they were like, shit, it was poop after poop after poop in the boxes. Like, I was more disappointed than I ever was happy with my boxes, so I canceled it. And then they started putting great things in there, like Natasha Denona and a Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm palette. When I look at this palette, what stops me from purchasing it is when I look at this palette, I see all of those tones and those shades over and over again in my palette collection. When I did my makeup inventory, I have 109 palettes that are in my everyday rotation. So the chances are when I look at an eyeshadow palette, I'm not going to find colors within the eyeshadow palette that I don't already have in my collection. That's kind of what I see in the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm palette, is a whole lot of colors that I have over and over again in my collection. So do I need it? Probably not. Do I want it? Yes, I do. Also, palettes are a weak spot for me. So there's that. What can I say? The next ones, I actually have 3 that I want from Lunar Beauty. So I have a deep affinity for Manny. Manny is somebody who I started watching. He was probably one of the first, if not the first, beauty influencer that I started watching on YouTube. He is who I tell people taught me how to do my makeup. I am a fan of his. I stuck by him even through all the shit that he was going through with Laura Lee. I never unsubscribed from him. I always watched every single one of his videos. I waited on pins and needles while he took a hiatus, you know, because he was going through some shit. I love Manny. One of the people that works in one of my stores actually has somebody in her immediate family that knows Manny personally. And I'm like, oh my God. Almost peed my pants just finding that fact out. Lunar Beauty is his brand, and I love Lunar Beauty. I love everything that I've gotten from Lunar Beauty. All the packagings for his products are just above par. Every detail goes into what he builds for his brand. So there are 3 things that I want from his brand that I do not have in my collection right now, and that is the Strawberry Dream palette, the Moonspell palette, and some of his Moon Prism highlighters. So I have the Greek Goddess highlighter book, and I love those highlighters. And from what I understand, the Moon Prism highlights are the same formula. It's an amazing highlight formula. I love it. So I want some of those. But Strawberry Dream and Moonspell are 2 palettes from his collection that I don't have and that I desperately want. I don't buy Strawberry Dream because it's a bunch of reds, and I have a ton of reds in my collection. I have heard that it's an amazing palette, and I've heard that it smells divine. One of the reasons why I don't buy it is because I just have so many reds and pinks in my collection, and I don't need any more reds and pinks. But I want that palette. I want it so bad. And the Moonspell palette, the one that came out for Halloween, I don't even know if it's still available anymore. I want that because it's got that, you know, grungier feel to it while still being a little lighter in tone. It's named after 90s movies or television witches, which I think is freaking awesome. I just love the whole aesthetic of it. I love him. I love his brand. I don't think Strawberry Dream or the Moon Prism highlighters, I don't remember honestly if those came out in 2019 or not. I think that they did, but I can't remember 100% whether they came out in 2019 or late 2018. Colourpop has a couple things. I want the Sophia Nygaard lipsticks, and I've never tried a Colourpop bullet lipstick, and I've heard that their formula is actually poop, which is what stops me from purchasing these lipsticks. I kind of know who Sophia Nygaard is, but I don't know who Sophia Nygaard is. So it's not about being a stan for Sophia Nygaard either. I just really love the colors of those lipsticks. There are 6 shades and they're more grungy in tone. They're a lot vampy and kind of like, from what I understand, they're a play on her Franken lipsticks that she created herself. You know, people throw all kinds of lipsticks in together and mix them up together to come up with different lipstick shades. They do the same thing with like highlights or bronzers or whatever. I just did that with my Kat Von D contour palette. I put all the rest of the shades that were left over in my palette, because there wasn't much, into a single pan and came up with a Franken contour. It's actually kind of pretty. I'm wearing it today. But I love the shades of those lipsticks, so that makes me want them. The other thing that I want from them that came out last year is that Smoke Show palette. So I actually went onto the website to purchase both of these things in December, and the Smoke Show palette was nowhere to be found. So I don't know if they're carrying it anymore or what, but the whole aesthetic of that palette was just awesome. Like, who puts out a black and gray and silver palette? Who does that? Oh, Colourpop. I think it's the only monochrome palette that I want, and they don't have it anymore. Well, I take that back. I really do want the Going Coconuts too. I've decided that recently, though. That's not even on my list because that was a recent decision. But I want to purchase them all together. I don't want to do it in separate purchases, and it's going to have to count towards my budget. And at this point in time, like, do I want that in my budget? That's where I'm going with this. And there's probably 3 of the 6 Sophia Nygaard lipsticks that I don't necessarily need. Like, I just want those 3 like really weird toned lipsticks. So like, do I need all 6? Like, these are the motions going on in my head, but then I go in and Smoke Show's not even on there anymore. So I just desperately want that palette. Like, I can find a black or a silver in any one of my palettes, but I want that one. The next thing is the Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette. So I think that I would probably change my mind on this palette if I actually had a Sephora near me that I could go in and look at the palette and swatch it. The reason why I say I think that that would be a game changer for me is because I'm just not into like hugely pastel colors on my skin tone. I think we saw that in some of my palette roulette videos here recently, where I was really digging into some palettes that had more of a pastel nature to them. And this seems to have a little bit more of a pastel nature to it, but I'm interested to see if it actually shows up on my skin more pastel or more like muted toned of the brighter form of that shadow. So, but I also love Huda Beauty. I love their eyeshadow formula. I have 3 of her palettes down here, and I just really want to add that one. But I just really want to see the palette though too, and that's what stops me, is that I haven't been able to see the palette, and it's $67, right? She raised her prices recently too. Am I correct? Is that wrong? I think I'm right. But yeah, so that's where I sit with that. The next one is the Noblet Highlighters that recently came out. I think they came out in November, I want to say. There was like 6 different shades that you could get. Those look beautiful. And Noblet is also a brand that I want to try. It's also a brand that recently came to Ulta. I think it's online only at this point in time, but I would love to try those highlighters. Highlighters is also area in my collection that is a problem for me. So I know, because of the promises I made to myself in my inventory video, that if I got one of those highlighters, I'd have to get rid of one of my current highlighters. And currently that's what stops me, because I don't know which current highlighter I would get rid of. So the next thing is the Sigma Enchanted eyeshadow palette. That looks beautiful. Last year, Sigma was on my brands to try list. I did try them. I did get a brush in IPSY that was a Sigma brush. And honestly, that was the portion of Sigma that I really wanted to try, was their brush and brush products. So I did mark them off my list. But Sigma also has makeup. And this Enchanted palette looks amazing. But it also kind of reminds me of the ABH Carly Bible palette, and I have that palette. So that's what really stops me, I guess, from getting it at this point. In addition to, I don't know, again, Sigma is one of those brands you can't just pick up in store and touch and feel and look at and, you know, test, I guess. So I don't know how their makeup plays, and I don't know how similar it is to the Carly Bible palette. I've only got two more, guys. The first one would be the Angelica Nyquist Divina Moonwell bundle. So Divina Cosmetics is a cosmetic brand that I have on my list of brands to try. It's been on my list of brands to try for the last like 2 years. And I really also love Angelica Nyquist, and I really also love WoW. And her bundle is named after, she is an avid WoW player, World of Warcraft, in case you guys don't know what WoW is. She is an avid World of Warcraft player. I also did used to be an avid World of Warcraft player. So the Moonwell bundle speaks to me on multiple different levels, and that is why I want it. However, again, what stops me is this is an indie brand. It's a brand that you can't touch, feel. It's a brand that I cannot look at and envision on my eyes and, you know, swatch on my hands to get a good feel of how I feel about the shades actually before purchasing it. Does that mean that I won't purchase it? No, but it does mean that it gives me a little bit more pause, because I can't envision realistically what it's going to look like on my skin, but I don't know if I want to spend the money to get it, because it's a brand that I don't know. It's a brand I don't know, and I don't know if I want to spend that much to get to know that brand, if that makes sense. Even though Angelica is a huge advocate for Divina Cosmetics, and I've had that brand on my list for so long, it's still that indie piece of it. The last thing is, if you guys watched any of my videos, you should know what this last thing is. I want it so bad. If I never get any PR ever, but get this, I would be perfectly happy. I don't get PR, so let's just go there. I'm a wee baby channel, but I want the Melt Amor Eterno collection so bad. When that collection came out, I probably would have spent any amount of money that they were asking for it, because I wanted it so bad. And now I go around and around and around in my skull, because I waited, which a smart consumer should. I waited and went through the thought processes of it, and like really just think about it. Like, each one of those palettes is $58. The highlighter is $30. I want it all. That's, you know, $150 and just 3 items right there. And do I want to spend that amount of money? Man, I want the PR. I want the whole thing. The whole thing. The whole big box. And the beautiful palettes and the beautiful highlights and the beautiful everything that goes. I want that collection so bad. And I don't know if it's a FOMO or if it's just because I think it's beautiful, but man, I think it's just because I think it's beautiful. It is so pretty. I have never wanted an item more than I want those items in that Amor Eterno PR set. And Melt is a brand that I want to try. Has been on my list now. I think this is the 3rd year it's on my list. And it started with the stacks, but I heard You know, I heard a lot of great things about the stacks, but I also heard a lot of bad things about storing the stacks. So now I'm looking more at their palettes, and I really want the Gemini palette. I really want the Smoke Sessions palette, but I have never wanted a collection more than I want that Amora Eterno one. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you liked it enough that you're considering giving it a thumbs up. I hope that you also liked it enough that you're considering subscribing to my channel before you go. I typically upload content every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I hope that you guys subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I can see you guys in the comments section. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Let me know if you liked this content. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know what you know about these items that I told you that I have FOMO about. Let me know what you have FOMO for that was released in 2019 or maybe 2018. I think some of these might be late 2018 releases, but thank you guys again for coming and supporting me today, and until next time, guys, bye. In a moment of panic, I thought for a second that I wasn't recording, and that would have ticked me off because that's pretty much my MO these days. So I get here, I film a whole video, go to upload it onto my computer, and it's not on my camera because I never press record.